Hi there, this is Caroline with Expat Interviews. And again, we go all over the globe looking for amazing, fabulous, fantabulous folks that are living and thriving and living their best life abroad. This time I didn't have to go too far across the globe. I just went over a few miles over to Playa del Carmen here in Mexico. And I am with the fabulous Kendrick Little um, from the US, originally from Hotlanta, ATL. What is it now? Is it the ATL? Hotlanta was, my daughter said, oh, that's from the old school. They used to say Hotlanta. Welcome. So nice to have a few moments to talk with you. So let's get right into it. I'm so anxious for folks to hear your success story. And we don't talk a lot about, the COVID situation and how it's affected a lot of people, but I really want people to just be inspired by how, you can say that 2020 was like the best thing that ever happened to you, as opposed to folks that are, cursing at it. So here you are in ATL doing your thing. You are a photographer. What happened? How did you make it here and make it?
So first, thank you for having me. Glad to be here. Excited to tell my story, of course. So I was already doing photography. I've probably been doing it about 7, 8 years now. Professionally on my own, as like my own sole source of income, probably the last 3 or 4 years. So with that, before the whole COVID thing happened, I was working at a much larger company running their media department. So I had a team of about 10 or 15 people at any given point in time, interns, paid positions, whatever the case is. And we would just travel all over the US, just grabbing content, doing shows. It was a multimedia entertainment company. So, of course, we were heavily involved in the Black entertainment, especially being in Atlanta. So, we were traveling, going to all these different places. So, the last venture we actually went on was in Miami, was for the Super Bowl. So, that's beginning of February. And then immediately following that, there was like a huge music expo in Orlando. So we went from Miami to Orlando, second week of February, came back to Atlanta. So those last 2 weeks of February is when this Corona bug kind of started coming out. The next thing we were supposed to go on was South by Southwest. That's in Austin, Texas, every year around the second, third
Yep.
week in
Yep.
March. So because nobody else is really paying attention to it. I'm the only one still like reading the CNN headlines. I try to keep up with the news and stuff like that. So keeping up with the information going on with South by Southwest, the larger companies were pretty much on the fence of whether they were going to continue with it, because the numbers were still low then, but it was growing rapidly, whether they were going to continue with it or pull out. And with a lot of these larger tech companies that South by Southwest is involved in, they come from overseas, mainly. I can just go down a list of people. So I think the first major company to pull out was Twitter.
Wow.
So once Twitter pulled, it was just like a chain right after that. Twitter pulled, Facebook pulled, LinkedIn pulled, all the major film companies, they started pulling out. Everybody just started coming out left and right, the record labels, everybody. So within like 2 days, South by Southwest went ahead and said, hey, we're sorry, we're going to cancel everything, we're going to refund everybody. Hopefully we can reconvene next year. So that killed my planning for the next month. Had nowhere to go then. So after that, we were going to do a basically album release tour in LA. LA shut down a week later. Then we were going to do a media run in New York. Like these were all on the schedule for March.
Yep.
They shut down a couple days after LA shut down. So literally within like 7 days.
It was like a domino effect, right?
Domino effect. Within like a week to 2 weeks, literally out of a job. There was nothing to do. There was no teams coordinated. There were no concerts. There were no shows. There was nothing. So being in the field that I was in, I did a lot of large events, of course. So from there, of course, we tried to re-strategize, reconvene, and figure out how we can still operate within the confines of COVID. So we tried to do the live streaming thing. That can go so far when now you have thousands of companies just trying to go digital because nobody was really ready to just be sucked out of the field. So we tried that for a minute. Then from there, it just kind of became too much to try to shift an entire organization online, especially when it was a boots on the ground type organization. So from there, just mentally, everybody just kind of needed a break. And all this happened within like 3 weeks. So we decided to step back. And in the midst of all of this, you know, the numbers were skyrocketing in Atlanta. I think we were leading like the nation daily. And it's like nobody was really taking that into consideration. And Atlanta started back there reopening. They were one of the first or second states to reopen. It was April 28th to 29th. I remember the day. So when they started making those plans, I was trying to find other places to go that were still accepting American tourists. Because, you know, everywhere else was like, no, you can't come.
Yep.
And I think it was like 2 places. And one of them was cold. Like nobody really wanted to go there. So I remember Mexico was still accepting, and their numbers were fractions of just what Atlanta was in itself. So tried to find somewhere to go, looking on Airbnb, this little place called Tulum pops up. Never heard of it, didn't know this place existed. I end up finding, and this is just to give you a price comparison how cheap stuff was. I ended up finding a Airbnb in a nice area. It was upstairs, downstairs, 2-bedroom, 2 bath, 2 pools. It was nice. For the whole month, I paid $13.50. Tulum, you can't get anything for a weekend now in Tulum for $13.50. So literally packed my bags, landed in Cancun, was in Tulum May 1st. I just said, I'm going to go stay for a month. Of course, everybody in my family disagreed. You're going to travel. It's a pandemic going on. It's this,
And it's
that.
Mexico.
And it's Mexico. You don't know what's going on down there. They don't do this right. What if they don't do that? Nobody. I was like, okay. I showed everybody the numbers. I was like, they have to take the same numbers we take. CDC is a CDC. I think at that point in time, the entire state of Quintana Roo was maybe at 5,000 cases. I think Atlanta alone, just probably in my neighborhood, may have been 5,000. So ended up here just literally mental break vacation. No Instagram, no Facebook. I'm gone 30 days. I need to just escape
You
from
just
the world.
disconnect. Yep.
Just disconnected from everything. So around the time I was slated to come back, what's that, early June? I think it's first week in June. I was gonna come back June 1st, June 2nd. The George Floyd thing happened. So, which honestly, as unfortunate as that situation was, it was one of the deciding factors of me not going back to the United States at that point in time. Because we all have dealt with, well, I can't say we all, but I know a lot of people, including myself, that have dealt with the racism, the police brutality, you can go down a list of things, just minding your own business, standing in your own driveway sometimes. So while I'm sitting here on the beach, just kind of relaxing, taking these things in, I'm looking at my friends, they're out on the street protesting. It's just a completely different universe from where I was at right now. This peace and tranquility that I found in this little city in Mexico, with all the arrests and everything that was going on back home, I was literally like, I have no desire to just voluntarily walk back into that. So I came up to Playa del Carmen. I think I got here maybe June 6th. I had found a place by second or third week in June, signed a lease. Like I didn't hesitate. So I ended up paying less here, of course, than I was paying to live back home with everything that's going on. So from there, I was still just kind of relaxing, doing my own thing. I wasn't really working too much because I was still more COVID aware. I wasn't going out a lot, mask on everywhere. So I'm not necessarily trying to interact with a lot of people. So more so towards the end of August, maybe early September, I had decided this kind of time to start back doing some work. Advertised to a couple different groups on Facebook. I do photography, kind of posted some of my work up there, got a few hits within a week. Started doing photo shoots, and it literally, I did 2 or 3, posted them in these groups, and it just like through the roof. So I was like completely unprepared. It was just like, is this really happening? Because coming from a market like Atlanta, you have thousands of photographers, if not a million. So not necessarily saying the market is saturated, but you kind of got to get in where you fit in unless you're known already. And coming into a situation like this where everybody you're photographer, you're taking pictures of things like that, they're just coming on vacation. They just want somebody to take pictures of them on vacation, having a good time. They don't want to use cell phones the whole time. And they're normal. I think this is the beauty of it. They're normal, everyday people. They're just, majority of my clients are families, husband and wife, may have a kid. They're literally normal, everyday citizens instead of the chaos of what I'm used to dealing with, the models, the sometimes the high profile rappers, the managers, just those industry people that kind of have a big head sometimes versus just your normal everyday Joe. So I found more of a niche in connecting with these people and just building organic content, taking photos for them, doing this, doing that. So from there, I think that approach to it is how the business really grew into what it was. And it's literally still growing today.
I remember in when you first started putting it out into the Facebook groups, I remember, at first I saw one picture here and someone said, oh, they were doing their sexy picture here. And then I saw someone else. And then all of a sudden, people were saying, I want to book him. I want to book him. And I was like, wow, I thought you were some Hollywood, fabulous photographer
Right.
coming
I
through.
would think the same thing.
I saw all the hype. I was like, who is this guy? But it was nice because people were really responding and people were like, yeah, I want to take my picture. Yeah, and the concept too. I mean, it's not really that I don't know. It was kind of cool. You're on vacation and yeah, I want to take some really nice pictures with the family, like professional photos. I mean, when you go on those cruises and stuff, that they're taking your, but just like some real relaxed, laid back, really nicely done, tastefully done pictures. You don't, it's not something that you bump into all the time. So I get it. It was just so amazing. So here you are, you're in Playa del Carmen. Had you been to Mexico before? Had you ever visited Mexico?
No, ironically, me coming down in May was my first time out of the country.
No
So
way.
yeah. So literally my only passport stamp is in and out of Mexico.
Oh my God.
So
Wow,
I
what a
had a
blessing.
passport already because I had a job. Well, it was a job that was coming up supposedly this year with the company I was working with. We were going to go to South Africa to do some work within the Black entertainment community over there that was growing. So I already had the passport. I was just waiting to go somewhere. So I had a chance to use it come May. So I was like, I might as well put a stamp in here.
I
First
like
time,
that.
and I end up not going back.
That is so amazing. So, this is really inspirational where you can take, something bad that happened, and turn it into something really beautiful. I mean, I think all of us that, especially those of us that have moved to Mexico, like myself, I had never stepped foot in Mexico before I moved here, sight unseen, and I feel really comfortable here. But to know you that, but I had traveled to many countries, I had lived in other countries. So, for you, this must have been really huge. Like this is your first foray into expatlandia and and it just blows up and it's just wonderful. You weren't someone to just sit back and lick your wounds and say, oh, woe is me. You really put together a plan B and it's just beautiful. It's so inspiring to know that that it worked out so well for you. So living in Playa, I mean, it is a touristy town. Did it, well, it's not exactly like Atlanta, but what was it like the Mexican culture? Because this is your first time out of the country. How was that? I know you probably met a lot in your travels in the US, but what was it like actually living here full time for you?
It was, well, Tulum, of course, Tulum and Playa give two completely different worlds to me. Where Tulum is more of the jungle feel, it's more connected to the local aspect in comparison to Playa to me. Like you said, Playa is a little more touristy, especially the area that I live in. It's a high tourist area. Like most of the units in my building are Airbnbs. So you still get a lot of foreign traffic, and there's more people on this side that, of course, speak English. But it has been a different experience. It honestly reminds me more of like Miami. I've been to LA a few times, Miami a few times. It gives me more of that feel, like a rural city, kind of outskirts of Miami, not South Beach type. So it kind of gives me that feel until you actually gotta kind of go to a store and speak to somebody and they probably don't know what you're saying. You would never, it just doesn't set in on you when you walk outside that, oh wow, I'm in Mexico. But so that was the comfortability aspect of it for me, where it was kind of just a no-brainer. Like I didn't feel out of place.
And you're a visual storyteller, but through your photographs, through your pictures. Is it a different feel, say, shooting in a place like Tulum, from, say, in Atlanta, on the strip somewhere? I mean, do you actually feel what a lot of people describe, being in Tulum? There's just a different, it's a different kind of a
It's a
something.
it's a photographer's paradise to me, just because there are so many different, even some of the smallest things make a great picture in Tulum. I mean, it's so much, just the scenery in itself, the landscape and the building, the architecture, just even the graffiti, some of the locals, however you want to paint it, it's just, it gives off a different aesthetic versus an Atlanta or even a Playa. I mean, I live in Playa and I've probably done 2 photo shoots in Playa. Even though I met clients here in Playa, we go to Tulum, things like that. I mean, I like it there as far as it just opens up more creativity for me in all these different places. It's more to do with the statues. You know, everybody wants to go to Tulum and take a picture in front of the Ben a la Luz, in front of Raw Love. Everybody wants a picture of her. So it's things like that versus just a statue on the beach here in Playa or something. It's more city sometimes, and it kind of takes away from having to put your own aesthetic on it,
Right.
just like shooting in Atlanta. I mean, if you're shooting outside in the city, you're going to know exactly where you are, what it is, what place this is, because everything is so readily identifiable, and it's just large. It's just a huge space. It just looks like any other city photo. You can go to Atlanta, New York, Dallas. You can go anywhere and take a picture in any city, and you can kind of give the same aspect. But if you take a picture somewhere in Tulum, somebody can look at that picture and say that was in Tulum. That's, it just has that feel to me.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. There's something about it. Any advice for others who are like yourself that have never, and there are many who have never stepped foot out of the U.S. that are looking to venture out, but they're just a little afraid or, um, just hesitant. What advice could you give someone now that you've had this amazing experience?
My number one key advice is, of course, do your own research. Don't let the doubts or fears of others who haven't experienced it tell you how to do it. So one of the main questions you'll see is in any expat group, travel group, or whatever it is between Cancun, PDC, and Tulum is it safe? Is it safe to go there? Is it safe to walk? Is it safe to drive there? To me personally, just from being here, I've been here 8 months now. It's safer here for us than it is anywhere in the United States. I think a lot of people have got comfortable with how bad things are in the States to where it's just everyday life in comparison to what it's like anywhere else. Um, just if you can use your own, I would say, common sense and self-knowing of how to conduct yourself in other places, you won't have a problem. If you can go somewhere on vacation, it can work the same way as an extended vacation. You know not to do certain things that you wouldn't do back at home. So come here with those same ideologies and just live it the same way. I've I've felt safer here in some instances, in most instances, than I have back home. Prime example, I haven't heard a gunshot in 8 months. It's things like that. I don't hear police flying up and down the street. I don't hear and see ambulances all the time, fire trucks. There isn't things happen just like things happen anywhere else, but it's not as much as you just drown with daily in the United States. Um, yeah, just do your own due diligence and do your own research. Connect with people who've been here or been to where it is you want to go, and get real insight, and not just insight from those that are well traveled or feel like they know everything. Like people like me who just randomly said I'm going to go to another country and end up staying. You get more of a boots on the ground type perspective than some people who feel like they know everything and how to do this and how to do that, because they sometimes have very belittling responses just by somebody who doesn't know. And coming from somebody who's asked questions to people, you can't necessarily belittle someone because they don't know. Just because you've done it, they haven't. So just by all means, do your own research and just take the risk. It's no different than you moving to any other state in the US to me. It's just, of course, if you want to make it a lot easier for yourself, learn the language before you come. That's been the hardest challenge, the language barrier. But enough people kind of understand and speak English, you can kind of pick it up along the way. But if you come down here halfway fluent in Spanish, you will have zero problems.
I can't tell you how proud I am of you, and how you've managed to just make a difference in your life. And I'm hoping that others hearing your story of how you have not only moved abroad, but you are thriving abroad. I hope that it will inspire others to do the same. Kendrick, Lighthouse Media, how do we get a hold of you for some fabulous photos? Where do we find you?
So you can find me on Facebook. It's Lighthouse Media. You can find me on Instagram at House Med. It's HAUSEMED. Just look for the LH logo. That's me. You can contact me there. Email is bookings@lighthousem.com. Website is lighthousem.com. And it's just, there are multiple ways to reach me. All of them literally go direct to my phone: Facebook, Instagram, emails, WhatsApp, all of it.
And I want to add, it's like taking Hollywood photos with Kendrick. If you get the opportunity, I've seen the shot, and it's beautiful. You do an amazing job.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for joining me, and all the best. Lots of blessings for 2021. Blow it up in 2021.
I will. I plan to. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.